Hey, good to see you. Come on in, join the party. We are about to do a Quest wildcard read since we just entered into a new initiatory cycle brought in with the Leo full moon that came in yesterday. I do want to touch base a little bit in regard to that Leo full moon because it did bring in quite some dynamic energy. This is an energy that we are going to be moving through until the new moon that comes in on February 27th. That we've been moving through, big wizard quest energy. It's a bit like that journey that Taliesin goes on of transformation, right? Transformation to get to that point where you gain a certain level of self-mastery, but first the hunt. And sometimes having something hot on your tail that makes you feel like you're being held back in some way, but are you really being held back, or is that just an illusion, right? I say that because this particular full moon that we had in Leo came in at 24 degrees, and the Sabian symbol for that is an untidy, unkempt man. Now, this is important because we have to remember something here. We're in a state of becoming. Becoming is kind of the word at this time. The bird is the word as well. The bird is the word as far as our means of expansion when we're looking at Capricorn 28 degrees represented by a large aviary. Okay, so we'll get to that. We'll get to that. But getting back to becoming, okay, this is the part that we tend to be distracted from. Becoming is messy. Becoming is not orderly. Becoming is chaotic. Becoming is a process that feels a bit like coming undone, even as things are simultaneously coming together in a new way. And you have to remember this at this time, that you cannot achieve self-mastery by focusing on the mess. You can only get where you want to go and do so with full agency of your own empowerment, like is the case of Gwion, who was chased down by Queriduin, only to be cast into the sea and go through his own transformation, which you have to see was quite messy. It was quite messy of a process. All the shape-shifting energies, all the states of becoming, only to be cast in the sea forlorn to rise up in a new form as Taliesin. It's that big Merlin energy signature we got coming in with all this 9-degree action with the new moons. It's also a 9 universal year, okay? So it is that hermit's journey. We do have Virgo in the South Node, but it's meant to move into that exalted form of Pisces in the North Node, that place of making the full round of the turning of the wheel and gaining a new perspective, perhaps a bird's eye view that wasn't possible before, okay? So we have to remember this. We have to remember this. The only way that we can be in this place of this self-mastery is by putting our whole focus, single-minded focus on what matters. And so this is the first order of the day. You have to figure out, well, what matters? This is a good place to start. Good place to start. What matters? You know? It may not be what you think it is. You may be focusing on something that's actually inhibiting your transformation, and this is sort of the crux of the matter, okay? So to get your first clue, begin with you. Have a look in the mirror and ask yourself, what matters? One thing to remember as we're working with this energy that is quite dynamic, okay? This full moon also came in opposite Mercury and Ceres, square Uranus. It formed a T-square, which focuses, hyper-focuses, you could say, on the energy of Uranus with intensity. So we know we got some surprises in store. The unexpected is in store. Interesting thing about Ceres, okay? It adds more sort of credence to this message of not all is as it seems. Ceres was originally classified as a dwarf planet, okay? And then it lost that distinction because it was seen as being too small to be a planet. So then it got declassified to an asteroid. And then again in 2006, when Eris was discovered, Here comes the golden apple hurled into the banquet hall to stir up things. Once again, Ceres was assigned in the role of being a dwarf planet, okay? So you may be dealing with this kind of a situation where something that was rightfully yours, your rightful position, something you had earned, appeared to be taken away from you or appeared to be declassified, you could say, or belittled in some way. And now there's like this certain restoration process that's underway. Yes, I see this, okay? With the Six of Hearts in reverse, something has gone terribly awry here, but something is also in the place of being reclaimed, recaptured, okay? This is how it's coming through. This might be surprising. There might be some surprise twist coming in here. Some surprise twist coming in here that actually allows you a way through, a passageway through, I got, where you didn't see it before. You're going to discover this, but in order to discover this, you have to be willing to learn something, which means you can't think you have it all figured out here, okay? Because it's a big, like, plot twist moment here. You got to get in the game, okay? You got to get in the game. You got to be willing to play here. Yes, and there is something here that feels like it was stolen from you, okay? I have to say, but this is about to flip around and reverse like a game of Uno here, okay? So be aware of this and what's going to be reclaimed, this new beginning here. This new beginning, this jewel, you could say, that you were meant to obtain, but maybe it had eluded you. Could it be one of the jewels of the Tuatha De Danann? Quite possibly so. Quite possibly so, okay? The constellations, Pyxis Nautica comes into play here with this energy, and that's known as the mariner's compass. So where you've been feeling kind of washed out to sea, you've been riding the waves of change, you felt a lot of turbulence in your emotions that have stirred a lot of the sediment of the subconscious to the surface and have made things murky. I see that here, okay? With the 10 of Hearts, oh, star-crossed lovers, it's all so dramatic. Some of you, it's like that. Some of you feel star-crossed by the muse energy. You feel this great calling. You feel this great creativity resurging within you, and yet you don't feel like you have the avenue to really bring it into fruition. You feel like something is stealing your time. You feel like something is betraying the muse within you. Or perhaps there's some kind of blockages to bringing this into being. But again, look in the mirror here, okay? Because this has something to do with you. The orientation is off. It's like you're looking outside of yourself. Some of you may feel that you've been dealing with a particular nemesis, the villain, the villain in your fairy tale here. That fairy tale was not all it was cracked up to be. Okay, well, let's remember the roots of fairy tales. They are cautionary tales. They bring in a certain wild wisdom. They were passed down through oral tradition around the fire. And they always taught us about things that we needed to be aware of, but people forget about that because they rather enjoy the Disney spin on things, the more fantastical view. But there's always a challenger on the path. This is what gives us the empowerment of our gifts that we're too afraid to access. Sometimes we need the impetus of a good, proper challenger to cause us to reach really deep into those places within ourselves and pluck those jewels from our own depths and bring them to the surface to activate them. So be grateful for those who oppose you here. Whatever this is, I do feel like you are getting a little of a directional reroute here, and perhaps you're also getting signs of land where you felt like there was nothing but endless stormy seas on the horizon. We also have the constellation Pictor coming into view, which is the painter's easel. So we know this is a creative process we're moving through. And when you think of a painter's easel, well, first you start with a blank canvas. So What matters? What is becoming here? Because whatever you determine matters to you is what is going to come into being. Because if you determine that something matters, then obviously that's what has your focus, and that's what's going to bring those ships lost at sea, those ships lost at sea to shore. I almost said the ships lost to she. Okay, so there may be a particular Ursula type character in play here, okay, that wants to try to steal your voice in some way. A very grabby energy that wants to hold a certain power, wants to steal a power as their own. Now, this is very interesting because one thing about this particular energy signature that got brought in with this full moon is that it's a climate that does promise a rise in fortune, a rise in fortune, a rise in status, an increase, okay? This can be an increase monetarily as well. And it's got a big road opening energy that brings about optimistic beginnings. But here's the catch, okay? For those who have done the work. Oh, and there we got the crux of the matter. See, disappointment is in store for some. Some that just feel like they can laze around, that they can just get a pass, that don't have the aspiration, the inspiration, that don't want to get in the game, want to sit on the sidelines, want to take a ride on somebody else's coattails, or want to try to steal, take from another what they have rightfully earned. They're going to find themselves disappointed. Okay, so it all depends on what side of this energy you're on. This will be coming to a head during this cycle. Now, one thing I do want to point out, when we got all these dynamic energies in play, and when we are moving into the Aquarian age here, is that eccentricity contributes the most to an evolutionary process, right? And because of this, there's going to be times that you're going to be considered a straight up weirdo if you are following your inspirations. Oh, yes. And something here needs to be thrown away. Yeah. You need to free yourself. You need to spring that lock that is the prison of your own mind that keeps you held in place. See, there are those out there that are trying to search for another's key. They think that it will spring their lock. They think it's their door of opportunity. But you cannot use a key that you have not earned to open up your lock. It doesn't work like that. And so there's a different shift in perspective that's needed here. Cue the large aviary, okay? Birds coming through as usual. They've been coming in quite a bit. There's been all this messaging about looking up, changing the orientation, things coming in on a wing and a prayer, things coming in through the birds as messengers. The bird is the word. And so there's something here about not being in a box, but freeing yourself from these sort of static points that keep you in the prison of your mind, to be able to pan out, to get a different kind of view of a situation. And since you will be moving, in most cases, counterculture or against the grain of what those around you expect from you or feel like you should be doing, if you truly align with what matters for you, you're going to get backlash. And there's going to be people that will have certain judgments about that. There may be people who will laugh at you, all right? But you can't have any space for getting distracted by that. With the Jack of Spades here, this is about you just moving forward very swiftly, holding Fragarok, the answer, the first jewel of the Tuatha De Danann, that first treasure. You have your answer about what matters most once you take your focus away from whatever's been distracting you. It's some kind of mess. There's also a piece coming in about you need to tend to your body. You need to tend to yourself a little bit. Something's had you so distracted that your own care, your own environment, your own basic needs, your own desires have fallen to the wayside. And we've talked in the past about moving a little stealth, about having a cloak of imperceptibility, but now I want you to have a cloak of imperturbability, okay? Don't let people perturb you with their judgments. Don't let them poke and prod you to provocation, because that's what's going to throw you off track here. Yes. And that will steal your heart's focus from you. Do you see? Because then you're sort of being led astray here with the King of Hearts in the shadow. It brings you back into that place of the glamour, the illusion, the hall of mirrors, facing off with an opponent that is merely a distraction, an opponent that should be there to remind you that they do not hold your key. And so therefore, you have to question, why are they trying to stir you up? It's because you have something that they want, but they haven't earned it. They haven't earned it. They have to earn it for themselves. Okay? So don't get distracted by what other people do or how they react to you moving into this expansion that will have you moving against the grain. Eccentricity is the order of the day. It is. And there's also this piece here about with the large aviary coming in and these bird messengers. Be aware of the signs. Be aware of the synchronicities. Be aware of the secret language that comes through symbolically in the events that roll out in your days. The different patterns you're noticing in nature around you. They are giving you clues. They're the more subtle metaphors of life. And this is what you're meant to listen to at this time. Because two different people can see the same sign, the same synchronicity, but it will communicate something very secret, very unique, specifically to them. This is what you need to pay attention to. See, there's the discernment coming in here, the discernment, the clarity. Air leading the way. Again, this energy has been coming in quite a bit. And this is also, sort of the way of the Aquarian age. New thinking, new inspiration, a little eccentric. It's not the norm. The norm is being disrupted. What's becoming is considered odd, unusual, counterculture, disruptive, because it bucks tradition. But becoming is messy. And that does not make it still a beautiful process. The caterpillar goes into the cocoon. It's messy on the way to becoming a butterfly, but when those wings unfold and there's that flight, oh, what a ride. Oh, what a ride. But, butterflies, once they get their wings, there's a window there, right? To really savor the journey, savor the ride, savor the adventure, because it's also the beginning of the end, okay? So there's all these sort of themes running through here. It's the beginning of the end of the old way. And so it feels messy, it feels disrupted, but if you can cut through the illusion, and if you can cut through the distractions, and if you mock up your cloak of imperturbability and you remain unbothered here, okay, and you stay really focused on those signs and how they're informing you, those synchronicities that are coming through for you and how they're communicating to you, then you won't lose the way, right? This is very, very important. With all this nines energy coming in as well, also in relation to that means of expansion with 28 degrees Capricorn, this is also about community. Community is the foundation. And with the 4 of diamonds coming up in the shadow here, there's something that needs to be adjusted with your community, okay? I see that here. Do you see? There's something in the community that can sort of creating a sense of loss or a feeling of lack or a sort of close but no cigar, you know? Something's missing the mark. And what's missing the mark is that there needs to be the bravery, okay, that can only come about when you're not affected by other people's judgments because they think that what you're doing is strange or you're kind of weird or you're too different from us, so you don't belong, okay? That's when all the pitchforks come out, you know, the town comes out hunting for, you know, the one who is not falling in line here, right? There's a need for you to connect with a new kind of community of forward thinkers, of people who sort of want to look through a different kind of reality tunnel. You want to mock up the happiest, most expansive, most joyous, most liberating, most fun, okay, reality tunnel. And that's not denying that we're in a very cathartic process. It's not denying the reality of the situation, but it's also being aware that when you're moving through real stoic territory, you're not going to get anywhere if you're just focused on the nitty gritty. You have to have a way to elevate the energy, inspire, elevate the consciousness. You have to have a way to harness your energy where it breaks free from the shackles of all these senses of limitation, of all the heaviness, so you can gain that levity. They can give you a bird's eye view. They can give you a different perspective here. So this is also about you like finding the people that you're meant to connect with here as you move forward during this lunar cycle. Okay, so we just entered into this initiatory gateway. And this first leg of the quest, you could say, will come to a particular initiation point, culmination point, with the new moon in Pisces that comes in on the 27th of February. All right. So let's see what comes in here. See, there's some deep dive that needs to happen here. The energy is coming out in reverse because a certain block hasn't been lifted yet, right? A block hasn't been lifted yet because the focus is in the wrong direction. There is a wasting of one's power here, right? But you can only realize that once you get a view from above and you can sort of use that light to shine below to see what's going on there subterraneanly, what's happening beneath the surface of things that's causing me to give up this power that I hold. All right. Once you shed some light on that, then you break the spell of the glamour of illusion here, and you regain the path of heart that leads you forward, and you free yourself from this misalignment. Okay, so this is the energy coming in, and we are going to have some fun here. We're going to do a quest read on this. I do want to get a cut of the deck here on this sort of wild card energy we're working with here. So let me do that here. Yes, okay, so see, right now we've been moving forward perhaps very rapidly, but sort of haphazardly. There's something that's sort of messy about the way we're moving forward. There's something here that is not sort of streamlined enough. It's a little untidy. It's a little unkempt. And it sort of seems contradictory, right? Because you think of eccentricity and you think of what's not really tidy. You think of what's sort of disorderly, you could say. But there is an order in disorder. And that's even inherent with the Ceres energy that's coming in here. Eris, you know, rolled that golden apple into the banquet hall and stirred up quite a flurry. You know, all the goddesses in the banquet hall, they wanted to believe that they were the fairest of all. On that golden apple, it said Callisti, and that's what it means, to the fairest. So there's these elements that are in play in the dynamics here too. People who are operating out of a place of vanity, people who are operating from a position of thinking, well, I am more deserving of this sweet fruit that comes from this garden of earthly delight. even though they weren't the one who planted the seed, even though they weren't the one who's been tilling the soil, even though they weren't the one who were watering its roots. I almost wanted to say robbing, okay? Robbing the roots, wanting to rob the roots, uproot what one has painstakingly laid down. See, this is where things are really going to get quite dynamic here, and things are going to be switching up, and you will see it rolling out. Because divine play is at hand. And those who were moving in a tricky way are about to realize that they put themselves on sort of an unexpected quest. They have been following a particular trickster down a rabbit hole, but now they've ended up in quite unfamiliar territory, and it's leading them to a confrontation with their own shadow. All right, we're going to dive in here. I want to keep with this shadow light theme. I think I'm going to work with my occult tarot blended with the angel tarot here. Let me get a bottom of the deck energy. Oh yes, let the games begin with the Fool. Look at that bird energy coming through. Okay, be prepared. Look for messengers coming in that will give you understanding, that will help you grok the voice of the waters. Okay, the voice of the waters. So I think of the voice of the waters, I think of the voice of intuition. I think that voice of mutability, the way to transmute and allow your energy to take on a new sort of form. It's going to give you answers of things to come here that opens your road for a brand new adventure collective. Now, I did get a download that came in here that you have been dealing with a situation where someone or someone's could be a group, okay, are wanting to get their hands on a certain key that you hold. It could be the key to your magic. It could be the key that opens a particular road that only you have access to, because you see this key is something that only you can hold because you had to go through an initiation process to hold this key. You had to quest for this key. It's an empowerment that's been bestowed upon you because it was earned. So even if somebody could steal your key, which they can't, what they're going to find is that it won't work to open their doors. It won't work to spring their locks. And I do feel like there's been some desire to tap into your energy, to sort of chart your course by gaining access to your inner terrain, your inner sanctum is coming through. For some of you, this has been occurring in your dream space, all right? Some of you have been aware of this. Some of you have been purposefully allowing the energy entry so you can get informed about what it's there for, what it's looking for, all right? And knowing this, you may have started to actually lead this energy down those routes, you could say, down those rabbit holes in a very particular direction in order for them to sort of go on their own journey so they can obtain their own keys, because they can't have your keys. It doesn't work like that. And I feel like along the way, collective, you gave them the slip. And now they're still searching. They still think they're on the hunt, but what they're really hot on the tail of is their own shadow. And at a certain point during this cycle, that shadow is going to turn around and it's going to confront them directly. And so just like you've had to face off with certain unconscious aspects of yourself in the past, and you've had to obtain certain empowerments through earning them the hard way, through actually initiating into the empowerment, they are going to have this opportunity too. So they may think you're a little tricksy with what you pulled here, but actually you've been working for their benefit. And hey, they treaded into territory where they didn't belong. They were trying to obtain through theft what didn't belong to them. They were trying to bypass a certain initiatory process. They were being lazy. You don't get to be lazy in order to jump on this ride. You know what I'm saying? You have to really do the work. This energy is coming through quite strongly. There is work to be done here. Those who just expect to benefit from the fruits of another's labor are going to find that the fruit has been spoiled on the vine, okay? This is how it's coming through. So you may feel certain energies trying to tap in even more so, becoming more grabby, and that's because you can feel the desperation of them trying to find a way in when actually what they're trying to do, but they don't know that yet, is they're trying to find a way out. They've been caught up in the labyrinth of their own machinations here. Bottom of the deck energy. This may have something to do with a particular Queen of Cups who's become a little too prideful and so needs to be put in their place, all right? I do feel like this person was just following orders. They would say, you know, I thought I was doing the right thing. This person is quite poetic. They are very convincing. They put on a real good show here, but there's something here for them to learn, all right? And I think this is something that's coming through quite strongly, but there's still the hope of finding that path apart. That opportunity is there for everyone. But the path that's aligned with your heart is going to be different than another's. And you can't take the key that has been gifted to one's heart and claim it as your own. It just doesn't work like that. Okay? I just heard that song has come through a few times. Let my love open the door to your heart. Somebody may be working with love in a distorted way to find entry or playing on your sympathies in such a way in order to gain access to this key that you hold. It's not possible. The key wouldn't do them any good. It wouldn't do them any good. It wouldn't open their door. It wouldn't open their road. What is the nature of this quest coming in this lunar cycle? Yeah, look at this. See, you already broke a particular circle here. You sense the intrigue. You sense the repeated sort of karmic loop. You sense the your own neural loops, you know, sort of traveling in a circular way over a particular matter, ruminating something to death here. You broke this circle. You've already cut it off. You're already free. You're not caught up in this. But I feel like there's sort of like this trailing energy that you can still sense here. It's maybe sending you up some signals like, hey, how do I get out of here? You know, but you can't help them. They have to find their own way. This is really important. It's actually for their benefit. It's for their own empowerment. If you help free them from this, I guarantee you they're going to be back to imposing on your energy again, crossing your boundaries, inserting themselves into your situation, your storyline, and mucking up things for you by stirring things up that are only going to prove distractions for you. You already have victory here. There's something you already freed yourself from, breaking this circle, breaking this repetitive karmic loop, breaking this circle of communication, breaking this repeated action that you kept taking, or this center point of your focus, so you could kind of disrupt the hold of a certain spell that was put over your consciousness, is something that is already setting you on the road to where you want to go. Do you see? The treasures are now able to be obtained by you with the Nine of Pentacles here. That is that energy of the Tuatha De Danann coming through. You gave yourself over to the process. There was something here where you finally just released. You released and you trusted your own heart to lead the way. And see, when we're looking in terms of the four treasures or four jewels of the Tuatha De Danann, the only way you gain access to those empowerments is through earning them. How? Through finding entry through the purity of your heart, finding your way back to that place where you do not have the distortions of greed or envy or a need to cling out of desire to hold a certain power. It's like you can't come into a place of empowerment until you're no longer seeking to have that power. And that is the only way through. And there are a certain group of people here within the collective, okay, the greater collective. I'm talking about the global collective that have been identified as traitors. They tried to steal treasures that were not theirs to hold. And their plans have been foiled. They're coming undone. But see, there's still almost like it's coming through as a disillusionment. They still think that they're able to gain access to a certain area that they no longer have access to. It's like the glamour has now been superimposed on their reality tunnel. You see what I mean? And so now they have been charged with what's required to gain their key, which is to be able to break the circle, just like you did, of this repetitive loop, this repetitive focus that has been keeping them from obtaining the empowerments that they are meant to earn by their own merit, all right? So yeah, see, something was stolen, or it was attempted to be stolen, but you took your power back. There's a little strategic move you made here, and I feel like it's something you did that bypassed them, okay? Bypass this influence. For some of you, this could even be an aspect, an unconscious aspect of yourself that you learn to bypass. And so this part of you, okay, if you want to look at it another way, is sort of caught up in this sort of hall of mirrors kind of energy and is still going through this process of empowerment. Meanwhile, the aspects of yourself that are starting to see the light are starting to see that, wait a minute, maybe I have gotten beyond this. Maybe I actually do have some kind of victory here. I'm overcoming a part of myself that has held me back for far too long. And there are many of you that are dealing with this within a certain circle of people, within a certain group that you used to be in alignment with, but you're recognizing that maybe you are really starting to kind of break from a particular pack. You see things differently from them. They may think that you're a weirdo. They may be talking about you. They may be gossiping about you. Let them talk. You need to have that cloak of imperturbability. You can't be bothered by that. In fact, you should take it as a compliment that you're not sort of falling in line with the masses right now, because let's face it, there's a lot of people sleepwalking through life here. Yes, and do you see? This is what you're turning around. Three of Swords in reverse. You're not waiting around anymore for anything outside of yourself to take those swords from your heart. You've released that pain. You've gotten over this, okay? You're not looking for anything outside of yourself to come in here and fill what had been a void. You're starting to realize that the void was an illusion, because what's true and essential to the nature of your heart is not anything anybody can ever steal from you, you see? Yes, yes, yes. And you realize that sort of the more you reached for something and the more that it eluded you, the more it kept you in this pain space. And once you gave up searching, seeking, reaching for, and you return right back here to you, that's when you heal what was ailing you. All right. Mm-hmm. Very interesting. All right. So this is the quest. This is the quest. And I'm speaking of already attaining it, right? Even though it's the quest, because in reality, it is already attained. Some of you just need to discover that, or rather rediscover it. It's something you need to remember here. And I think of remember, and it makes me think of bringing all these sort of seemingly disparate parts of yourself like back together to unify them. You know what I mean? Maybe those are the treasures you're seeking, as symbolized by the 4 jewels of the Tuatha De Danann. They're the empowerments that you've always held, but you're now retrieving those parts of yourself that have been scattered. And maybe you haven't been able to find them because things have been a bit unkempt, a bit untidy. Mm-hmm. There's something about when you find these empowerments, you also align with your community. Okay. Tell me about the nemesis or the spirit ally that's on the collective's path here. Well, that came out right away. The nemesis is the 10 of Cups in reverse. Okay. It's thinking that all is lost. It's being caught up in the delusion of the fairy tale because one thinks this doesn't look like how I thought it would look. The ideal doesn't match up with the reality. But we have to remember the true nature of fairy tales. They're tricksy. The empowerment comes through entering that territory where first it appears that all is lost. But then what happens in the fairy tale? The protagonist finally rises up against the antagonist and finds the will to rise again and turn that around. And this is the process you're in right now. You're not quite there yet, okay? Some of you are still a bit confounded by these wicked elements that are operating in this situation, but even the wicked are bringing a blessing your way in the way that they are honing your skills, the way that they are testing your mettle. They are giving you a reason to rise and to tap into your strength and recover certain magics that you have forgotten here, right? So you're in this process. You're in this process of recognizing that spirit has been with you all along. The Atman has been with you all along. The true seer has been seated within you and activated all along, but it is your mind, the labyrinth of your mind, that has tied up your consciousness at knots and having you falsely identifying yourself with certain things you're seeing in the mirror of your life that are not related to the true nature of your creative power at all, with the Hierophant here. But it's okay. Spirit forgives you. You are absolved, all right? You've always been absolved, all right? And yes, so this is when you kind of get on the same page with the true seer within, and this activates a certain navigation within you. This is when you realize that the nemesis is actually your ally, you see? And it's their perception here that has created the distortion. It's the egoic identification, all right? Interesting. All right, what is the lay of the land for the collective? There's so much coming out here. There's a lot that's coming out in reverse. So see, I know that this is stuff that's not obtained. There was a great sort of reckoning with the reality that somebody that you may have thought was your forever, your happily ever after, was actually a soulmate that came in the form of a nemesis to test you, to challenge you. This person may have slandered you. But see, being caught up in that, being caught up in the gossip, being caught up in the slander, or if you're somebody who has moved in such a way, you may realize that you actually tied yourself in knots with this, all right? Whether you've been distracted by this, by what people are saying about you, by other people's judgments, their perceptions of your life, your choices, or whether you have been engaging in this, either way, it has the same effect. It's only tied you up in knots here. And so this is about also getting a different perspective about the use of words, how your words have power. And they don't just weave spells over those they are shared with. They weave spells over you. They can cast you into illusion. And it's only through learning a new language, learning a new mode of communication that you can free yourself from this and come into alignment with those who will truly lift you up on the journey ahead. See, there's people here that in your greatest time of need, they turned their tongues against you. They spoke ill of you. They dropped you. Some of you got dropped on your head, okay? You got dropped on your head. It was quite a blow. Maybe it was a blow to your ego. You thought you were really aligned with certain people, and then you realized there was no loyalty there at all. The realization was quite bitter with the King of Swords in reverse. It was very cold. It was cold. This created a sense of loss in your life. Somebody's words were used very harshly, very cruelly. It may have turned once loyal people away from you as well, okay? So I do feel like this is the territory that you are moving through. Don't rise to provocation, okay? Don't meet this energy where it's at. It will only tie you in knots. Do you understand? Disengage from these kinds of associations. Disengage from those who like to gossip. When you notice that people are gossiping, get up from that table, because I guarantee you that as soon as you get up from that table and you turn your back, these people will be speaking ill of you too, right? These are people that don't have a certain clarity of the way that their misuse of power is actually tying themselves up in knots. They feel like they have an empowerment, right, through exercising this kind of control of the narrative. And actually, it's this energy that is only holding them back. It's going to bring a tower. Normally, when this card is upright, it's protection from lightning, but it's in reverse, see? It's a misuse of power. Somebody has surrendered their power here by engaging in gossip and manipulation through their use of words. They've been disloyal to those who were friends to them, with strength in reverse here. It has weakened them, okay? Where they once had allies, there's now inherent weakness there. Some of you have been wanting to see justice and balance in such a situation for a long time. It's coming. It's coming. Some of you may feel bitterness or resentment by having to accept what's fallen away. But you need to trust how this is rolling out, because it's bringing about a proper alignment. All right. Let's see the energies that we have on the board right now. Currently, we have Leo coming out very strongly. We have Taurus coming out quite strongly as well. Also, a need to exercise discernment, okay? Discernment to really bring the air quality back into a state of alignment where you can get accurate messages about what you are perceiving in the mirror of your life, understanding that there are distortions here, okay? There's a particular King of Swords energy that may be operating in reverse here, maybe wondering, why do I keep bumping up against challenges? Why do I keep bumping up against these difficulties? For the Leo energy to come out, this very well could be somebody that has Leo rising in their chart, who's been operating out of the masculine. They've been acting very aggressively in a certain area. They've been taking specific actions in a certain area that lack discernment here, okay? Leo rising would be Aries descendant, and that's what I got here. Is it not Aries descendant? Aries descendant. This could be a Libra energy as well, okay? A Libra rising that's operating in such a way. Could also have strong Leo in their chart, right? That's just coming through as a significating factor here. There's something about the approach that's unfair. It doesn't give one the strength of position they think it does. It actually works conversely here, right? So this is the terrain you're moving through. You do have some, whispers going on around you. People are talking, okay? But you can't get distracted from that. Now that you know this is sort of the lay of the land, and that maybe certain people you've been aligned with aren't necessarily the allies you think they are, right? There's a need to make some choices about where certain cuts need to be made in order to clear away certain impediments that are keeping one from advancing forward in the way they are meant to at this time. All right, what's the beef? What's the meat of this matter? Why all this gossip? Is this upright? Yes. Oh, of course. I look on the bottom of the deck, and who do we see? Here comes Apophis. Here comes Apophis, trying to steal the sun, trying to block your view of the new horizons you want to see, okay? It always comes down to that, trying to steal the sun, okay? So again, I don't know. I got that strong Leo rising energy, which is Aquarius descendant, okay? Perhaps Leo rising is trying to blot out the sun in relation to an Aries. All right, I have to bring that in. Oh, with that, look, a whole bunch of stuff came out. Yes, yes, yes. You might be getting some kind of illumination here with the Knight of Pentacles about what's been slowing you down. Once you get a higher perspective here, then you'll gain a certain light of understanding and a knowledge that will allow you to remedy what's been causing a certain ailing here, or you could say soul sickness. This has everything to do with an Ace of Cups. It's a new beginning that's meant to bring some kind of fulfillment for you. And there's this problem here where there's been alignment with certain people that you think are familiars. Like, these are people that they got my back. They're loyal to me. But there's shapeshifter energy here. There's disloyal energy here. And see, there's this trickster kind of energy that has their sights set on your particular destiny, your Ten of Pentacles. And this person works with their words to manipulate situations. They know that you possess a certain magic, you could say, a certain power. You have certain treasures in your hands. They're trying to find your hiding places. And so they might try to become very familiar with you. They might try to sweeten the pot. They might try to appeal to your ego in order to find entryway. This could be somebody that you've been separated from here that wants to reconnect. But there's warning here that this reconnection could be with somebody that comes as a friend, but is actually a foe, right? And with that, we got a Queen of Pentacles energy here, right? Strong Capricorn energy coming through there, just with this sort of 10 of Pentacles, 10th house energy. Also makes us aware of where this new beginning is coming in for you. It's the rise of your fortune. You've been doing the work here, right? There's something you've invested in. You've earned this. You've earned a road opening. You've earned this optimistic new beginning. You've earned this miraculous chalice, this Ace of Cups, okay? And this shapeshifter energy is now being a turncoat, okay? They may even be turning their backs on certain people that they were teamed up with against you, against your advancement. And now this person's sort of a flip-flopper. They want to change sides. Oh, wait a minute. Let me buddy up to you here. Now they have a certain intellectual lucidity that was lacking before. They're like, wow, I signed on for the wrong team here. That's how it's coming through. Let me jump on your campaign. It looks a lot better. That's a much better look, you know. The 10 of Pentacles energy. It makes me think of that 10th house, how it's coming off to the public, how it's coming off, how their public reputation is being influenced by this misalignment and kind of who they were working with here. They want to break camp. They want to come over on your side. This is a turncoat energy, right? They want to try to provide you with some kind of compensation for how they blew it back there. They may have some genuine desire to rectify this with the sun now coming out upright. Okay, again, this person could have a strong Leo placement in their chart, or there could be a past connection that you have with this person. I feel like this is deeply rooted in the past. It's not the first time you've dealt with this individual. Not the first time at this rodeo, all right? They do want to provide you some kind of covering here, I got. Like they're coming in such a way where they want to offer you some kind of protection. But this person is definitely like changing sides. So there's something you need to be aware of here. They might be outing certain interfering elements to you, certain people that have been causing problems for you. They're alerting you to who these adversaries are, but they were once really in the thick of it with them. And I think they're trying to, sort of just like sweep that part of the story aside here. Yes, they do want to sort of spin a little glamour around that because they recognize that time is ticking here. They don't have much time. They don't have much time to turn things around. They know that spiritual court's in session here. The verdict's about to be made, okay? And the truth will be known. So they're trying to like save their butts last minute here. I got like strong Leo placement, Leo rising specifically, or could be somebody you dealt with in the past. Aquarius descendant energy, could have strong earth in their chart, all right? Taurus specifically with the Hierophant being on the board there. What were they doing? Slowing things down. Now they want to show you how things can be sped up by outing these people they used to be in alignment with here. But that's because they recognize that things have slowed down for them. This is that energy that wants to hitch a ride. No one rides for free, man. Where were you when the work needed to be done? Where were you when you needed to show up and be part of building this dream that's coming to fruition for the collective? That's what you need to ask, okay? So this is sort of the beef, man. This is the meat of the matter that you're dealing with here. This is the meat of the matter you're dealing with here. And the reality is, if their plans would have been successful here, if they would have been able to thwart you, this is what you need to keep in mind here. This character would never be approaching you. All right. So do be live to this. All right. What are the consequences the collective here is going to have to deal with as a result of their past actions? We always have to look at this. Oh, well, I feel like you've already gone to the other side of this. We had the Fool come out. It's crossing all this energy. So it does got big, like, you know, Gandalf, thou shalt not pass energy here. It's like, nope, you're gonna have to deal with that on your own. And, you know, time for you to get to work, you know. Pull yourself up by the bootstraps. It's time to make hay while the sun shines if you want to reclaim your own happiness here, but I can't open that road for you. You couldn't help them even if you wanted to. You can't open the road for somebody else when this is their spiritual work to do here. And this is because you have been listening to the voice of the waters. You've been able to grok the language of the waters. It's got big Lagos vibes, okay? Lagos, the rune Lagos. You've entered into the waterway. You're flowing with that current. It's giving you a certain understanding of the language of nature that's allowed you to alchemize something here. And now you are moving forward. You're moving forward with that energy. Isn't that interesting? Big Aries energy. Big Aries energy here. So yes, this may be something that's even been sort of like held over from the time when Libra was in the South Node and Aries was in the North Node. We just had the changing of the guards of the Nodes of Destiny on the 11th of January. Now Virgo in South Node, Pisces in North Node. There could be like some mirrored energies playing out there. There could be Libra energies, Aries energies that are starting to move forward. Their road is just opening. And there are certain Pisces energies, Virgo energies, perhaps, that are needing to clear certain things up before they can gain access to their keys. Now, when I say this, also be mindful, where do you have Pisces or Virgo placements in your own chart? Go beyond just your sun sign. I can see that too with that energy of the sun in reverse as well. Don't get so fixated on your sun sign. Pay attention to your other placements too. They reveal to you a certain soul's map of your own evolutionary journey here. So think outside the box. That is the key to opening your road, because there is a new adventure that wants to begin here. And even for those that are experiencing a downturn in fortune, it's only because you haven't been getting to work. You've been too lazy. You need to get in the game here. You need to do the work so you can retrieve your own key, your own empowerments, your own magics that give you access to the secret language that opens up Lagos, the waterway, brings about that transformation in your life, okay? So I feel like it's sort of a 50-50 split here. There's some of you that have already done this and you're beyond it, right? You already rectified this situation. You've balanced out what you needed to balance out. And so your road is opening for you. And simultaneously, it's requiring that in order for you to step forward, there's certain energies, there's certain situations, there's certain people, certain mindsets, certain modes of being that you need to leave behind, right? And that's the work that you need to do at this point. Others are recognizing, oh man, I've been too caught up, focusing on what doesn't matter. It's made a proper mess of things. So now I got to get to work by really figuring out what truly matters to me and getting my heart on board with the proper alignment here. So I can open my road, and nobody can open my road but me, because the key is within me. But they're not going to be able to access it until first they face off with their shadow. Some of you already faced off with your shadow. You already faced off with the nemesis within. And so you're experiencing this freedom, this expansion, this liberation. Okay? 50-50 split. I got that very strongly for the collective here. All right. What is the power to be gained through mastery for the collective on this quest leading up to the Pisces new moon on the 27th of February? What is the power to be gained through self-mastery? Ooh. Well, there's some Two of Cups here that's been spoiled. And it landed right on top of that Ten of Cups. It's something that's been slowed down because a certain power was relinquished. Okay? So it's recognizing that some things that didn't come to pass are not meant to come to fruition. Either not at all or not at this time. Because they're not really your Ten of Cups. They're not the fulfillment. They're not the fulfillment of the quest. They're not your stone of destiny, okay? There's some misalignment. And it could be, in some cases, it's a matter of timing, right? Either way, being fixated on how something is slow and moving is going to hold you back. You should be focused on what is showing up right now. That's what you need to pay attention to. There's something about being fixated on what could be or what I thought would be that really creates sort of a scenario where one becomes like a dog chasing its own tail. It's a bit of that coyote medicine. It will tie you up in knots. Just like Wile E. Coyote thought they were such a super genius and always had the road runner elude them. It's that same kind of energy. You're meant to be really charging ahead here. You're meant to be moving swiftly with that Knight of Swords energy. But in order to do that, you have to break free from a certain circle, a certain endless loop that keeps you going in circles, and then you don't really get anywhere. Next thing you know, it's been a full turning of the wheel and you're right back where you started, right? Very much that like labyrinth kind of energy. There is something here that is not in alignment. It's not for you. And the minute you sacrifice that, okay, the minute you release that and you gain the mastery, the power that comes through complete allowing and acceptance, that's when this energy is alchemized and you free up your true Ten of Cups, right? There's something that never intended to come into alignment with you here. It was false from the start. It was like, it's giving me that same vibe of like, I heard devil's apple. Okay, that's Datura energy. So yes, there is something that's kind of Neptunian. It's sort of like a dreamlike quality. It could have been that forbidden fruit. It's like the witch that holds out the apple to Snow White and says, "Oh, just take a bite." And then she's put to sleep. Right? She's put to sleep and only the prince can save her. Talk about giving away your power here. No. See, something was an illusion all along. Something was never meant to come into an alignment. Once you recognize that, it's like you break that spell that tempting devil has had over you, which is the lower aspects, the lower natures of our self that wants instant gratification, no matter the cost. And there's something of great richness that has been sacrificed here, but one cannot see it until they accept that something is actually not in alignment. Not to wait around for this anymore. To wait around for it is sacrificing your power. Okay? What is showing up right now? That's how it's coming through. Once you realize what is showing up for you right now, it leads to a certain mastery that gains you that skeleton key, that master key that can open any door of opportunity that is truly aligned with you. Give me a little bit of a clue about that, please. Give me a little clue about that, please, Spirit. Give me a clue about this true blessing that comes through this self-mastery. Ooh, crossing energy. Landed right across that Two of Cups in reverse. Let's see what this is. Ooh, do you see the Lovers? The true alignment. Isn't that beautiful? This is where love can truly root, okay? But it involves you making a choice, because the wrong choice to continue to invest in what's been spoiled on the vine can make one barren. It's like a degradation of the Empress energy. It makes the harvest spoiled. Do you see what I mean? So there is something here that needs to be relinquished, sacrificed for the proper alignment to come in. It is something that can make one feel very divided. Should I go this way or that way? It's that Gemini energy. Jupiter in Gemini, okay? Jupiter in Gemini. It's that new mode of communication here, okay? Jupiter in Gemini. There's something that's being communicated to you here on a very deep level. And you have to be able to listen to the voice of the waters, the intuition, in order to be able to grok the message. And that's what can preserve your harvest here. But if you continue to listen to pillow talk, and if you continue to be seduced by the lower nature, you will be tricked into giving up your harvest. That's how it's coming through. Ooh. Okay, what's at stake for your party on this campaign on the road to the Stone of Destiny? What's at stake for those you are meant to align with? Those you are meant to align with here, those you are truly in alignment with. Yeah, there's something a little befuddled in the communication department. There's a tripping over words. There's something that's being lost in translation. Oh, and there we got that wizard with its griffin there. Yes. And there is a certain compromising arrangement here that has created a certain sense of injury. And there is something that needs to be brought to a close here. Fixed sign energy, fixed point of view, fixed hand, losing hand, Taurus, Leo, Aquarius, Scorpio. See, it's sort of saying what's injuring is, again, this concept of, well, I can take the easy way out. I can sort of hitch my cart to another's, and I can sort of profit off their hard work. I can allow them to, give me a free lift on their coattails here. Or I can just straight up snatch it from them by sending in a tricky character here to cozy up to them and gain advantage of their assets, what they worked for, what is rightfully theirs. And this brings injury. And there's no way to bypass this. This perspective, this illusion, taking the easy way out, working with means of manipulation won't get you where you need to go. There is a need to be aligned with the proper people, and there is a need to break off compromising arrangements that keep one held back. There's a need to get to work, right? And what do we got here? And then we have strength upright. Do you see? Then there's a way forward. Then there's a powerful way to move forward here. There's not only a powerful way to move forward here, but there's also a way to suss out who's been working at counter purposes here. You'll be able to discover who's been building these towers. You will be able to reinforce the proper boundaries that are needed to prevent the coming of the tide that's going to bring rough waters to those who have been moving in opposition. It says it finds witches, okay? So for some of you, there has been somebody that has been operating unethically. They've been using their power in a very corrupt way, in a very manipulative way. And there's a need to get a different perspective about this. You cannot manipulate your way into holding somebody else's position that was gained through their own merit, through their own work. This is going to bring a tower. This is going to bring rough waters. Again, big Leo energy coming through there. Past associated energy as well, right? Things that relate to the past. Things that had power over you in the past that do not actually have power over you anymore. You have the strength to rise above the provocation. You have the strength to rise above these underdeveloped aspects of yourself that like to sort of pass the buck as well. We've got to look at the internal work here too. Okay, this is very important for what's at stake for you and others you are meant to come into alignment with here. There is something that you need to let come to an end. This is what preserves your magic. And we got raven energy there. You see? Raven energy, crow energy. There's something here that has been karmically balanced out. There's some restoration of your honor, restoration of your dignity that was stripped from you through interference, false narrative, the use of harmful words, and sort of bringing that home to roost, you know, that same stripping of dignity and honor to those who spun that narrative in the first place, right? You can only reclaim this honor and dignity, though, if you stop associating with basically what's keeping this energy signature in place. You know, you can't expect to have a new beginning if you're like kind of hanging out in that rut with those who are moving in this way. If you're hanging around with people who like to gossip, who talk about somebody when they're not there to defend themselves, who scheme, plot, manipulate, operate in this way, well, you know, you're sort of digging your own graves. That's the energy. If you want to reclaim this magic, this empowerment, if you want to be able to rise above these challenges, if you want to move forward, you have to do the work to extricate yourself from certain alliances so you can come into alignment with the proper people here and you can move forward with honor. All right. I heard the recovery of valor. All right. Ooh, yes, I like that word valor. You don't see much of that anymore. Right. The redemption is reclaiming one's valor in a situation, which requires not only integrity, but courage. Okay. Courage. Courage, valor, integrity moves one forward with power, with swiftness, and supports one in rising above the challenges of the past. Okay? And brings alignment with the proper people that are meant to join you on this road ahead. All right, what's at stake for the new world that the collective wants to bring into being here, Spirit? What's at stake for the new world? Yes, the magic. Look at the unicorn energy there, and we're right back where we started with the King of Cups, moving forward with heart. Remember, this King of Hearts energy came in the shadow in the opener, see? So this is something that's happening on an alchemical level that's transforming the heart space. And this brings about people that are truly on the path of heart and that share that path with you, people that you share a common vision with, that you're meant to move forward with on this journey. It has you reclaiming a magic that was lost. I like that. I like that. Moving forward with heart. Yes, this is what restores the fortune and fulfills that which you have requested, this fervent desire you've had in your heart for fulfillment. It also may make you quite known. There's something here about fame, okay, word spreading, but perhaps words spreading in a positive way. I heard some of you may become infamous. You might dig that notoriety, I could say. That's sort of how it's coming through. There's also a piece here about considering where you're feeling lack, where you're feeling like you're missing something and what you want to see in your world. Look at where you're being stingy. Look at where you're not participating in a reciprocal flow. Where do you just take and take and take and you never give anything in return? There's something to be looked at here too that will help bring about a certain kind of balance and restoration. But it does look like something is being fulfilled here. A request that you've had, it's been very personal to you, something between you and your soul, something between you and spirit here is being fulfilled. But there is something here about you got to give a little to get a little, okay? It's not just about taking. It's not just about what about me, all right? There's some way that you need to give a little here too that maybe you aren't currently if you want to see your world transform, all right? What is the cookie for the collective? What is that sweet treat they'll get if they enter that flow of reciprocation, okay? Certainly with the Two of Cups in reverse, that's a situation where maybe somebody's just taking. They're not giving anything back, okay? Where you're taking and you're not getting anything back, then you're going to recognize those will be areas where you lack in your life, all right? That can affect how you're moving forward here. And with that, we got the Hanged Man, okay? The cookie is freeing yourself from this holding pattern. It's finally getting free. It's recognizing that when you're wanting to trade places with another person, when you're wanting to try on their identity for size. This is interesting that this is coming through. This is sort of like a side note. I was getting something in earlier. It was kind of coming in as a download that there may even be somebody that tried on your identity for size. There may be somebody posing as you. They may have even been doing this in such a way where they were able to control a narrative around you by sort of posing as you. I got that like maybe through setting up a fake account online, communicating as if they were you, maybe with a certain group of people, okay, that stirred up a lot of drama for you because they wanted to edge you out, okay? They wanted to take over your spot. Now, it's interesting that this came in, this Hanged Man energy crossing here, okay? Piscean energy coming through there. This is that sort of hidden element, the hidden element that is operating as like the hidden enemy or the frenemy kind of energy. It can even be a hidden aspect of ourselves too, okay? But I did get this coming in earlier, separate download, but it's sort of filtering in here. So there may be like a connecting point there that one needs to be mindful of. I think it's interesting that I was asking about what's your cookie if you do this work. And here comes this hangman energy and crossing. Do you see? It says here, lights corpse lights above graves and moves bodies so the souls may be stolen. It's somebody's wanting to swap places here. Okay, so now that this energy has been called out, let's kind of quarantine that energy there. Please tell me, what is the cookie for the collective? What is the sweet reward for the collective if they do this work, if they free themselves from this repetitive loop of action that keeps producing the same result, or this repetitive focus that's leading them astray? What is a sweet reward? The Fool, the opening of the road. Do you see? This is when you get your wings and you race ahead. Will and new beginnings will assist you with difficult and great undertakings. So you may be looking at something that you feel like it's impossible. There's no way I can pull this off. I've been meeting with nothing but resistance. There's been nothing but holdups. There's been all this oppositional energy. No matter what I try, I keep finding myself in the same position, and it's back to the starting point. But it's because there's a certain blocking element here that you're too familiar with, and it's an inhibiting the forward motion here. And like I said, This certainly can be somebody outside of you. It could be somebody in your circle. If you're an alchemist and you work with manifesting with a particular circle of people, it could be somebody that you're working with that you're at odds with. You don't hold the same intention. And it may be that this person's actually working with you because they want to gain access to some knowledge that you hold that they're not meant to hold. It's not theirs. It's your empowerment. It's your magic. It's your key, right? So this you need to be aware of. And this you also need to not be distracted by. Remember what matters. What matters is where you're going. Forget about people who are stirring up stuff around you. That's going to lead you astray. You'll never make it to the stone of destiny if you're constantly getting sidetracked by these side quests, following these tricksters down rabbit holes that only lead you into this labyrinth of confusion. You'll see, though. I mean, it all serves its purpose ultimately, even if you do get duped in that way, because you'll have to confront your shadow one way or another. One way is the slow way, and it can really create a lot of confusion. It can make things quite untidy, quite messy. It can hold you up. You'll experience a lot of loss, all right? And you'll keep blaming it on somebody else, but it's you because you haven't really determined what matters to you here, right? The cookie eludes you. You chase the golden apple. Oh, I'm the fairest. That's mine. And you fall for Eris's trap, right? Or you take a bite of that poison apple, and then before you know it, you find yourself in a disempowered position where you're waiting around for some prince to give you the kiss to wake you from your slumber, okay? Or you can get it correct. You can get your shit correct, man. And you can activate your will and you can shoot your shot toward that moon, that new moon that will come up on the 27th in Pisces. Find yourself hitting the mark, getting your wings by activating your will, and you'll have a new beginning here. And what seems impossible suddenly becomes possible, right? Your fortunes are on the rise. The road opens. You find yourself in a place of increase where there once was lack. Your optimism returns, right? Yes, High Priestess, do you see? But right now, you're divided within yourself because you're distracted by the suspicions you have around others, what others are doing. It's a distraction. It doesn't matter. When you're in full agency of your own essential nature, when you're rooted in your heart, when you're in tune with the waterway, which the High Priestess represents the water element as a whole. This is about entering Lagos, the flow of the energy signature of Lagos, where you are simply carried. You are carried through giving over. When you give over to the water flow, then you are mutable. You can adapt to any circumstance, any situation that allows you to find your way around the most intractable obstacles. You can just very gently, imperceptibly find a way through what seems immovable or find a way around it here, okay? It's activating that High Priestess within you. Then you will gain access to the secrets. Then you gain your keys. And then you can change the vision of your world. As above, so below. As within, so without. That's quite a cookie. It's a lot of self-mastery. All right. So what is the target that the collective should aim for with this campaign to help them as they journey toward that rise to the North Node, the activation of their stone of destiny? I'm going to go ahead and, ooh, that wanted to come out, so I'm going to bring it out. That was almost a sort of like a crossing kind of energy, and it was a little sticky there. So I think it is really kind of highlighting for us a sticking point with that one. A sticking point that if we're not mindful, it can be a source of disappointment. We can spill out that miraculous chalice. We can waste the opportunity. See, because you're meant to come into prosperity here. This is destruction from the enemy and deliverance from bondage, what's held you back. You could spill out that opportunity. I believe it's in relation to this. This was like this sticky kind of crossing energy that wanted to come out here. Oh, yes, it's a bit of a Chinese finger trap kind of energy. You get into this finger pointing stuff, it's you. No, it's you. If you get into this, you're stuck. You're stuck. You ain't going nowhere. You ain't going nowhere here. Do you see? Don't be distracted by this. That's a trap. To get into the arguments, to get into the blame game, okay, this is a trap. Don't focus your attention in this way around what's been stirred up here with all this gossip and interference and whatever this is. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, because there's hidden treasures that are about to be revealed to you. And you're about to come into alignment with excellent familiars here that will actually get you where you need to go. And you're all meant to benefit here together, right? This is what's going to prevent a tower from falling here. This is a warning. It's coming through as a strong warning to not get into this position where you get drawn into arguments, where you get caught up in the conflict, where you pay attention to the he said, she said. It is a waste of time. It is a waste of focus. It doesn't matter. And if you are really upset about what so-and-so is saying about you, it's time to really ask you why. Why does it matter? If it's not true, then why does it matter? It shouldn't, okay? So there's really a need to look at this, because this is the only thing that could cause disruption on the path. You're getting a warning about what could cause you to waste that dawn, all right? And this is what's going to aid you in transformation, so you can avert a tower here. What's crossing this Fool, all right? This is the target you should be aiming for here. I like it. Yes, yes, yes. 7 of Cups, Jaguar medicine. Okay. This is about being willing to move into unknown territory. This is about having fearlessness, even though you're not quite sure what's up ahead. It's being willing to trust that if I take the risk to leave behind what's familiar to me, if I take the risk to trust this waterway, give myself over to this flow of logos, if I enter the intuitive flow, if I pay attention to the signs and the subtle metaphors of my life and let those things inform me, give me knowledge of secret things, divine secrets, I will be able to see beyond the glamour. And I will be able to take those lofty visions, or those things that seem impossible. I will be able to take those castles in the sky, and I will be able to root the kingdom on earth. It will give you aid in transforming what has seemed unable to be stabilized, because it keeps kind of shifting. The reason why you feel like you get so close, right? And then it just sort of falls through your fingers like sand, right? It's like illusory. You keep grabbing for something, and then it just falls through your fingers like sand, like the sands of the hourglass. So are the days of your life. It's sort of like, you know, the drama, right? The soap opera of it all. When you get caught up in that, then time slips through your hands. and those castles made of sand are washed away by the oncoming tide. But when you are able to sort of leave that behind, right? And this is a big key with alchemy. If you're going after a dream, there's a point where you can't have all the answers and you can't have all these things in place. You just have to follow the signs. You have to trust where your heart leads you. You have to venture down the path of the unknown, where the road rises up to meet you with every step you take forward into the potentiality, what is yet to be, with courage. And that's when you have the wind at your back. That's when you actually move forward swiftly, because you're not impeded by the illusions and grasping for things that will always slip through your fingers. You have to look at what is showing up on your path. Things have been taking on different forms and changing last minute because there's still been sort of this desire to hold on to something that has yet to materialize. And when you're holding on to a vision or you're holding on to a dream, you're actually preventing it from coming to fruition. This is like Alchemy 101. At a certain point, you have to shoot the arrow, right? You have to release the quiver from the bow if it's ever going to hit its mark. And from there, you have to just follow the signs that are revealed in the trajectory of the pathway of manifestation. You don't get to choose how that arrow flies and hits its mark. You just have to follow the pathway that rises up to meet you when you move in the direction that is revealed to you, with the signs and the metaphors, the waterway that opens up, the intuitive signposts that show up on your path. And you have to be willing to let the shadows of what has already come to pass fall behind you. Then you'll have the wind at your back. Then you'll have the wind at your back. Because if you continue to sort of get caught up in the dreams of others, the illusions of others, the narrative of others, the distractions of others, this is what is going to hold you back. It's what has you turning back to maybe help someone who really needs to find their own way, right? It's like you're trying to lend them your key to open their road, and it doesn't work like that. Those who are meant to join you will catch up if they are meant to. And the reality is, some never will. And that's something that's actually just as it should be. And you may not realize that until there's been a certain passage of time. But there is a need to not get sucked into the glamour, to keep your focus on what matters, not on the mess, but on the beauty of creation and what you want to call into being now. If you get focused on the mess, then you lose what's wanting to become. You get focused on the mess, you'll go back to old places convinced that the change is real. But there's also something coming through about a leopard never truly changes their spots. At least not this leopard. Ooh. All right. Impeccable integrity as you move forward into unknown territory. All right. You've got to be true to yourself. You got to be true to what matters. And so this seems like this is a starting point here for the initiatory gateway of the new moon in Pisces on the 27th of February. Let's do a cut of the deck to cap it off. Ace of Pentacles, see? But if you're able to do this, if you're able to let it go, let it flow, if you're able to embrace the spontaneity of the moment, if you wear your cloak of imperturbability, if you're willing to be the fool, then you gain a certain bag of tricks here that has you finally closing a certain karmic loop, and you open the road and you get this beautiful Ace of Pentacles, and it grants you all worldly power and treasures and makes you rich quickly. See? The only thing holding you back is yourself and your investment in what you've allowed to matter too much when it shouldn't matter at all. Other side here, I love it. The Emperor. There's that Aries energy coming on through, okay? So yes, you know, it's sort of like the angels are like, can you get with it already, man? I mean, come on. How long are you gonna, you know, hold yourself back here? You keep asking for an assist, but, you know, you're not paying attention to the signs here. You keep wanting to see something different, and you don't realize everything you're asking for, it's all right there for the taking. As soon as you just have the willingness to head into the unknown, as soon as you are willing to be a little weird, a little eccentric, a little different, break from the norm, no, moving to that uncharted territory, then the road rises up to meet you. The wind's at your back. And you'll be granted safe travel along the way. Nothing will hold you back as long as you stay focused on where you're going, on what matters. And it's also going to protect you from those conspiracies, okay? Really good energy here, right? Good energy. I like it. Godspeed. I hope you all hit the mark. I know I will.